We did it. My parents have life insurance. Somehow managed to convince them that they needed it. And we're good. We got it. Welcome to First Gen Money, a YouTube channel for everything from money and lifestyle from a first gen millennial's perspective. If you're interested in building generational wealth, in learning how to invest, how to get right with your money, then you're gonna wanna subscribe to my YouTube channel for new videos every Wednesday. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about the process of getting my parents' life insurance. In an earlier video, which I'll link up here, I shared about the importance of life insurance and how it was gonna be a goal of mine for March to get my parents' life insurance. So I guess I don't know how the life insurance world works, but it wasn't gonna take me just 1 month to get this all figured out. It actually took me a month and a half. So as of May 5th, my parents both have life insurance policies, and I wanted to hold off on making this video until I went through the entire process. And now I'm finally at the end of that process. So I wanna share some of the things that I've learned as I was calling different providers, calling different insurance companies to get an understanding in what I was signing up for, what I needed, just so you have a baseline for when you go into getting life insurance for yourself, for your parents, or convincing another family member to get it for themselves. The first thing that I'd want to talk about is you want to know what kind of things that you value in a insurance company, in just like anybody you're doing business with. For me, I wanted it to be a tech savvy site. I wanted to be able to log in, see all of my accounts in one place. I wanted to have somebody that I was working with. I wanted some kind of relationship, easy communication, easy portal to access all this information, and also needed a company that was trustworthy. This is the first time I'm encountering dealing with life insurance, and I wanted to make sure that whatever company I was doing business with would pay out that policy if it was ever due. So those were like my things that I needed. I got quotes from everywhere. I needed to know everybody who was giving life insurance. I needed to try every site out, get different quotes so I can make the most informed decision. The first place I went to, because I listened to so many podcasts and they advertise there a lot, was Policy Genius. They're not an insurance company, but what they do is they partner with insurance companies and give you kind of the best rate, and you select which one you want, and then they're kind of like the intermediary? I don't know. They're the person in between making and connecting people to insurance companies. My overall experience with Policy Genius, if I was getting insurance for myself, wouldn't have been a problem, but because I was getting insurance for both my mom and my dad, putting in my information, it wasn't super clear. I also spoke to somebody and was like, I need to get this for both my parents. Like, how do I do it through my account? And I was gonna have to put different phone numbers. I was going to have to create different accounts for each. Wasn't super easy to use, in my opinion. If it was just one insurance policy, fine. But because I was doing both, it got a little complicated and just confusing. Another thing about Policy Genius that I didn't figure out until I was really searching for different life insurance policies was that they don't work with like the top rated companies. And I'll get into that when I talk about ratings, but that was another thing that kind of was like, all right, I don't need to do it through Policy Genius. I'm gonna go directly to the insurance companies. I also applied through Haven Life, which is a startup of Mass Mutual. This is very easy apply. You just fill out an application, and you wouldn't even have to have like a medical individual come and do a report. Now, these startup-y companies that use just applications and technologies is very geared towards if I was getting life insurance, or if, 10 years from now I wanted to get life insurance. It's really not for people who are like 40 plus, because when I entered all of my mom's information, I instantly got a like, no, we do not provide insurance for you. Have no idea why. I'm assuming it's because of her age. She's already a little bit older than maybe their demographic, who they're going for. The tech stuff that I wanted was not gonna work out for me. I then went to every individual like insurance company that was top rated. I compared quotes from Prudential, which I was on the phone with this representative for like an hour, just getting information about life insurance, learning from them. I also requested a quote from New York Life. They were very late in responding to me, whereas like Prudential, the next day they just, called me. My mom suggested that I ask what Ari's mom's life insurance company is, ask around, see what other people are using. So I reached out to Principal, and finally I reached out to Northwestern Mutual. Again, very quick to respond. The next day I had an agent, and at first the whole like call me and I'll give you information, it seemed very salesy. And I think it's because we know like insurance agents are always going to try to sell you the insurance because they make a commission out of it. But I will say, in the phone call conversations that I had with Prudential and Northwestern Mutual, I never felt like I was being sold something that I didn't need. I always went in there saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, give me quotes. And they were always like, yeah, trying to work with me. They weren't trying to sell me more or a different product. I knew I wanted term life insurance, and that's what they were giving me quotes for. They weren't trying to deviate the conversation to something else. I wanted to understand policies and what companies paid out for, how long was that period between like making the payment and getting the medical reports, would they still be covered during that time? I needed to know all that information. So when I compared all of these companies, and it was really between Prudential, Northwestern, and the other companies were kind of slow to respond. And both of these insurance companies sent me quotes and then were willing to work with me to get the quotes lower. And what they call quotes are like illustrations, life insurance illustrations. So basically the illustration is just giving you kind of like a what we pay out, how we do it, all of that. Another thing that I really considered and how I got the list of companies to reach out to in the first place was the ratings. As I mentioned before, you want to be super confident that the company that you're paying for this policy will be able or will be good for the money. If the company's financial strength is weak, they cannot pay you that life insurance policy if it comes due, if something happens that we don't want to happen. But if that were the case and they can't pay it because they go bankrupt, that sucks for you because you just paid maybe 10 years worth of premiums or 15 years. You want to make sure that the rating is top notch. And so what I did was I Googled like top rated insurance, life insurance companies. And there are different rating scales. There's the AM Best, there is the Standard and Poor, there's the Moody's rating, there's a Fitch rating. Fitch just made it easy for myself and I said top rated life insurance companies. The first one that came up was Northwestern Mutual. So I put it on my list to contact. I went through every company that was in that list to make sure I got a quote from those companies because I already knew those were top rated. This super important. This is probably the most important one of them all. You want to go with a top rated company. We can't play. Not with this. I recommend that you look at their ratings, that you make sure the company that you're getting a quote from is a reputable company. And that's why I decided against Policy Genius, because they have a partnership with 10 insurance companies and it's those 10 and they're not necessarily the top rated. I did not know that when I was first getting the quotes. I only learned it after I was doing research on Policy Genius. Another thing that I figured out before I was going through the process that changed during the process was how much we needed. I started the process thinking I'm gonna get both my parents $1 million policy and it's gonna be a 20-year term. I wanted that because it seemed like a great baseline. It seemed like a good amount of money, but there was no like reasoning behind why I chose the 1 million. After having conversations with my insurance agent and getting different quotes for the different prices, I felt that 1 million probably wasn't something we needed for a 20-year term. So we brought it down to 500,000. And the reasoning for me and why it worked for me is because, yes, I have minor sisters who are not 18 yet, who are in high school, who in 20 years from now will be in their 30s. So the goal for the life insurance really was to help the children be able to pay off the house. So it became clear that after the one conversation we had as a family that like the life insurance policy, we just want it to cover the house and burial, basic stuff. I also had to consider that for the next 2-3 years, maybe I will be the only person paying for this policy. And a 1 million to 1 million policies is going to be significantly higher. When you are thinking about life insurance and going through that process, think about how much do you need? Is it going to be based on the income that you're going to lose? If it's for your spouse, if it's for yourself, you know, how much does your family need? How long does your family need this for? For us, 20 years seemed reasonable in our 30s. My parents still have a 30-year mortgage, so 20 years made sense. And then like, really, how much can you afford? How much can you afford to pay for this policy? This year, I knew I would be the person responsible for paying the policy, and so I needed to look for something that was within my budget. And, you know, it's thinking about all those things when it comes to how much insurance are you going to take out. So it became very clear that you want to get insurance early because of the different terms, because of how the cost increases the older that you get. You know, at this stage, my parents are still in their 40s, late 40s, but they're still in their 40s. If we would have waited till their 50s, that would have changed a whole lot. And so, you know, when I talk about getting life insurance for your parents, my parents are young. I'm very fortunate that they're still pretty young. If I tried to get life insurance for my grandmother who's in her 60s, things would be different. Getting in there early. If you have dependents, then maybe start thinking about it for yourself. A few things to know when you're getting insurance for other people is I needed to get my parents' consent to have me be the owner of their policy. I am the policy owner. They are the insured. So because I'm the policy owner, I also had to do a web apply. Let's talk about the process. I started this process of looking for life insurance in March, the week of the 20th, or March 20th is when I started looking in and getting quotes. It took me about a week to decide which insurance company to go with. So I confirmed which insurance company I was going to use by the end of March. They had sent me over some forms to complete. My parents had to, you know, fill out just basic information, but also like medical history, all of that. I had to have all of the medical information. I did it with my parents just because trying to do it over the phone was just going to be too much back and forth. Once we submitted those forms, we then got a link to schedule the medical exam. During that time while we scheduled the medical exam, to wait till we actually did the medical exam, my mom actually came back. She was approved with like an accelerated underwriting program. And so she didn't have to go through with getting the medical exam. So a month after I had committed to an insurance company, my dad had his medical exam. Within a week, we heard back and he was also approved. What the point of the medical exam and what they try to find out during the medical exam process is whether you're going to receive a premium rating or not. And so my dad also received a premium rating, and if you don't, then your policy and your premiums increase because you're more at risk. They consider you more at risk. So throughout this process, I found out that both my parents are super healthy, that, you know, underwriters are like, yeah, these will outlive their policy. So let's give them the best rates, which is a good thing. So, you know, the whole process really took a month and a half. It wasn't anything super complicated. And now both of my parents have life insurance, and I can feel more confident in that we are holding on to or putting things in place to be able to create this generational wealth. Because without the life insurance, you know, granted, we could all come up with, you know, how we're going to pay for the house, how we're going to support the mortgage and all that stuff. In all reality, like, something is going to be sacrificed. And so knowing that at least there is this policy in place that could take care of the house and just paying for it, it really is, at least for me, it feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I'm happy. I know I made this decision, you know, thinking about my family in mind, and just hearing like the agents that I was talking to, like, say, great, I'm glad you're thinking about this for your parents and for your sisters. Like, it just reminds me that, like, this isn't a selfish thing. This isn't something that you're doing for your own good to make money off your parents. This is something that is necessary. And so if you're looking at it for your parents or for yourself, it's a hard conversation to have. That was my process. That was my kind of flow, and so far so good, but I'll keep you updated if there's anything that I need to update you all on. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I hope you enjoyed me talk about the process and the things that I really considered. If you did, please like this video, give it a thumbs up, show me that you care, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Gosh, if you're watching this far, subscribe to my channel. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.